Today we're going to be taking a look at crop rotation, a mod by Chisel. It looks like this is on version 1.0.1. We're going to take a look at it, see how it works with base game and how it works with precision farming as well, and see if the yield numbers are actually true to what they project. Before I add it to any of my save files, I wanted to kind of do a little bit of science behind it and see how it works. All right, to start this off, we're going to take a look at a couple fields here on a fresh Riverbend Springs save. So we have field 5 that has canola in it, ready to harvest, with the yield bonus saying it's 37%. So we might do this a little different. And over here we have wheat for yield bonus of 37%. Let's see if we can improve this a little bit. So we're gonna go in here and we're gonna get this set up and then have a save that we can revert to when we do the 3 different configurations we're gonna do today. So we're gonna do 3 different harvests on these 2 fields. So we're gonna change this to fertilized state 100. Lime is going to be at 100. Weeds are going to be withered. And then I think we'll go ahead and accept that. Let's go ahead and confirm and see what that does to the field. It gives us 97%. Let's go ahead and let's do that on the other one as well. And then we'll save it, and that'll be our baseline of where we're starting. So over here on the canola, we'll do the same thing in easy dev controls. We're gonna go ahead and click on set field fruits, and we're gonna come in here and set fertilizer to 100, lime to 100, and weeds, just any of them withered should be good. And hit confirm. We have 82%. What did we do wrong here? I think the plowed state is yes. Confirm that. Gets us to 82. Let's see. Let's do small withered. Let's see what that does. 97. Okay, so that was the key there. So now we're going to go ahead and save this. And we should have a backup that we can revert to at any time. And I'm actually going to manually create that right now just to be safe. Now, for the sake of science, we're going to do these tests in the exact same way. We're going to use AI completely driving, get the in-game AI, and we're going to let it just harvest both these fields, and then I will report back to you what our 97% yield baseline is going to be. Well, both fields are now harvested, and we can see in the silo that we got on field 5, our canola field, 8,853 liters of canola. On field 3, our wheat field, we got 17,725 liters of canola. Of wheat. Now that we have a baseline, we're going to learn a little bit about this mod. So we're going to come over here, hover over, look at the field info, and it shows yield bonus. We're saying 97% still. Last fruit was sunflowers. The fruit prior to that was soybeans. So let's go into this planner, and we're going to call this 5 for field 5. Oops, I guess I didn't name it, but we're going to put in here, let's remember, soybeans, sunflowers, and then canola. So that should put us at, there's more information about this, but we'll dive in. So that's saying that if we're going to get 55% on each of them, we look here, the crop rotation absolutely shows 55%. So that is the plan there. Now, if we went in here and added another crop and just kind of figured out, can we scroll over there? Something that would adjust this. It looks like oats would be good, barley would be good, wheat would be good. And the thing that confuses me is why these would change over here. My assumption is that this is considered a loop. So this isn't year -2, -1, and current. This is actually like a loop going on. So if we're right here, we're going to get 55%. That's still holding true. We jump over to wheat, we get 110. If we plant soybeans next, we get 95. That's my assumption there. Now we head over here to our wheat field, and we see a crop rotation yield of 110%. So let's configure this one. It looks like we need to go potatoes, carrots, and then wheat. So we will add a rotation. We'll call this one 3. Got it named correctly there. Potatoes, carrots, and wheat. So yeah, we're showing the 110%. So this looks like a good combination to do a rotation on, though I believe you can get up to like 130% on certain things. Let's go over here and yeah, let's get rid of that one. So we have this just the way it's supposed to be. What? Let's go back over there and look. A little confused by this mod. That's why we're doing this science here. I think we have the wrong crop. So yeah, it's showing 55%. This is not supposed to be barley. This is supposed to be canola at 55%. They're all at 55%. Okay, so that's a bad combo. You wouldn't want to do soybeans, sunflowers, and then canola because you'd get terrible yield. Sounds like it's really bad for the environment. So a little other thing to keep in mind. So we go into settings, help, and tab over, we can see an explanation of the planner, crop rotation planner. The crop rotation planner can be accessed in the in-game menu and allow you to plan different crop rotations in advance. To do this, you can create new crop rotations with your own name. Once a crop rotation has been created, you can add and remove additional crops. At least one crop is required, which cannot be deleted. To do this, simply press the +- button. The available crops can be selected using the sliders. It is also possible to select a catch crop, which is like oilseed radish, a cover crop, which is planted before the actual crop harvest. The expected yield is then displayed directly below the sliders. The yield is calculated from the last two previous crops. The previous crop for the fruit in the first and second position are filled in at the end of the list. The previous crop for the fruit in the first and second position are filled in at the end of the list. Okay. Crop rotation with fewer than 3 fruits. The last two previous crops are required to calculate the yield. If these are not available in the planner, the crop rotation starts from the beginning. If, for example, the crop rotation has only one crop, the same crop is entered for both previous crops. Since the crop rotation planner consists of 2 nested lists, the mouse position is extremely important when scrolling. Okay, that's fine. Scrolling, we're not worried about that. But crop rotations here, it kind of shows you how many pauses, so how many seasons you'd have to skip before it would be, get a good yield again. So it looks like wheat you could do every other year. Barley you could do every other year. Peas would be every 3 years. Canola, sunflowers every 3 years. Potatoes looks like every 4 years. And sugar beets, onions, beetroots, parsnip. But it also looks like spinach can just be whenever you want. Same with rice, long rice. Very interesting. So catch crops here, we're showing oilseed radish, I believe, is the only one. I don't know if grass actually works for that. But I do know that that is used as a cover crop in the past. So we read a little bit about that. So I assume that is what's happening. It is like a rotation because we change canola. You can see it does affect the previous 2 years, which seems very strange. So, all right, so we have this set up. We kind of understand it. We're going to have our AI worker go ahead and do a harvest. We are expecting to get to, looks like right here we're getting 110, but we are expecting to get 55% of what we had. So using our baseline, we could recalculate that into 100 because it was 95 or 97%. But we're just going to compare the two, and we can get real deep into the science and calculations of it afterwards and figure out if it is actually 55%. I assume it's going to be, but we will find out. And then we will add precision farming as well, because one of the main things that I did notice in someone else's video, I think it was Clutches, that on top left, it was still showing the precision farming yield percentage instead of the crop rotation yield percentage, which is the big reason I wanted to do this science project, to see if it really does work the way it should with precision farming, or if they conflict with each other. Base game, I'm just gonna assume it's gonna work, but we are still doing the science here to figure out for sure, to validate that it does. All right, we're gonna get this done, and I'll see you in a little bit. We're jumping in here a little early because I've gotten some very interesting findings so far. And we'll try to put some graphics to explain it here. Our original baseline was a 97% yield bonus, and we got 8853. So the expected, like doing some math to figure that out, being that field 5 got 97% yield bonus, we would expect 100% to be around 9126. So at 97%, we got 8853, but if we would have got it at 100%, it should have been 9126. That being said, our expected yield was 55% for the canola. That would tell us that our number would be around 5,019 liters. What we actually got, we look in here, was 4,869, which just happens to be 55% of 8853, which was a 97% yield bonus. So it looks like the calculation here if we're taking a peek here, we have yield bonus 97%. Crop rotation yield is 110%. So that being said, we got 17,725 on the first one of wheat. 17,725 times 1.1 is 19,497. So that's what I'm now expecting this yield to be. So the slight difference there is I was expecting the 110% to be calculated off of the possible 100% yield, not the 97% base game number. So that'll be super interesting when we get to the precision farming piece. I don't think we need to do a baseline of the precision farming, and I'll kind of explain that now while we're watching the wheat harvest here. What I'm expecting to see is we're going to be around, I don't know, maybe depending on the soil samples, let's say we're at a 87% yield. And then the crop rotation on here is going to give us 110%. We're only going to get 110% on the 87%, not the 100%. I think that makes sense. I'm not sure if that's what the intended purpose of this mod was, but I'm super glad we tested it because it definitely shows exactly how the mod works. So I guess what we're looking at is our original yield number, if I'm understanding this right, is going to be based off of how we're treating the field for a single crop. It doesn't matter what crop it is. So we're going to get this, you know, lime settings, our soil settings with, you know, if it's plowed or needs plowed, whether we mulched it, we rolled it, whether we did lime, all of those things calculate to an initial yield bonus. And then based on how we're rotating our crops, we're going to get an extra bonus on top of the original yield bonus. Not necessarily, it's not necessarily 110% for this field. It is 110% of what we prepped the field for. But that's why we're doing two fields, to make sure the math equals out. Like I said, we're expecting 19,497 liters, which means I got to start getting prepped to help them unload. So moment of truth here, we're expecting 19,497 to be in here. And it is 19,498 rounded up. Perfect. Okay, so that makes complete sense. It absolutely makes complete sense that we prepped the field to get 97%, but based on how we've rotated crops, we got an extra 10% on the wheat field. And based on how we rotated crops, we lost basically 45% on the canola field, which gave us a 55% bonus, which is really, you know, 55% of 97%. It makes sense. Let's see what precision farming does next. All right, we do have everything prepped here. Soil samples have been purchased. Everything should be exactly the same way it was. The problem is nitrogen's going to be pretty low. So what we're looking at here is an average of a 75% expected yield bonus. Some places it dips a little bit, but then our crop rotation is still 100%. So some places we're at 63. So this isn't going to be an exact science, but we want to see a little bit of information here. And I think we'll probably just use the canola field. And I think it'll be plenty of data to kind of do a full circle and wrap this up. But over here, you can see we do have a 73% yield potential, or the potential is 100%, but the yield we're getting right now is going to be 73%. So let's go ahead and do some calculations real quick, and I'll let you know what I kind of expect to see in this canola field this time around. So based on the calculations, we're going to say that if, based on our first base game harvest, and we're going to use expected yield of 73% here, as we just start getting prepped, that's going to tell us that if we did get 73%, we should get around 6,666 liters, give or take. With precision farming, each section of the field that has different soil samples is going to get a little bit of a different value when it comes to the expected yield. We know that. But based on the previous crops on the new configuration that we have on this field, when we came back into the save file, our crop rotation bonus is going to be 115%. So that 6667 number should be around 7,662 liters. I'm going to let this worker do his thing, or her thing, and I'll let you know how it turns out. So jumping in here a little bit while they're doing their harvest, you can see it's fluctuating from 62 to 70%. So I assume that our number is going to be a little bit lower on average. This field's going to be a little bit lower than that 7662 number. But in reality right now, we should be getting, 61% plus an extra 15% on top of that. Not necessarily meaning 75%, but 15% of the 62%. Kind of confusing when it comes to math, but it is very basic math, and from what I can see, this mod was implemented correctly. Beautiful. I'm super excited to add it to some of my series. But let's find out for sure with precision farming. So coming to the end of the harvest here, our estimated number was 7,662. We're absolutely going to blow that away a little bit. 100% validated that this mod works the way we expect it to work now, knowing that it is a yield bonus on top of the way you prepped your field, and it works consistent with precision farming and base game. What a beautiful mod, guys. I'm excited to add it to my No Shortcuts series. Check out the playlist. I'll put a little card up there if you're not familiar with that. And thanks for hanging out for this video. It was very informative for me. I love testing out mods like this. I'm going to try to do this moving forward, so there's no surprises in my videos moving forward. But man, what a successful, awesome addition to Farming Simulator. I am super excited to start playing around with the different crop rotations to maximize my yield bonus on my series. I'm Socksway Up. Thanks for hanging out. I will catch you on the next one.